PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now have been combined to just PlayStation Plus, but there are now 3 tiers within it: Essential, Extra, and Premium. Today I'm here to break down exactly what you get out of each and whether or not it's worth subscribing to. To do this efficiently, I decided to break down each and every tier on their own and tell you who it's for. You can actually see the timestamps in the description below or the timeline of this video to skip ahead to whatever part you're interested in. So let's begin by talking about PlayStation Plus Essential, and this by far is the one that there's the least to say about. This is PlayStation Plus as you knew it. You'll still be getting monthly games that are yours to keep as long as you're subscribed, online multiplayer access, exclusive discounts, some exclusive content, cloud storage, share play, PlayStation Plus collection, game help, and free shipping direct from PlayStation.com. Essentially, this boils down to being the tier for those uninterested with the benefits of the new premium and extra tier, and those who just want to continue to be able to play online. When it comes to pricing, you're looking at $10 per month, $25 per quarter, or $60 per year. This month's essential games include God of War, Naruto Boruto Shinobi Striker, and Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. The quality of titles received per month certainly varies, some months are stronger than others, but I gotta say this one is fairly strong. And just in case you weren't aware, these games that you claim on a monthly basis are yours to keep as long as you're subscribed, even if your subscription lapses. So even if you unsubscribe for a period of time, any of the games you've claimed previously will be available to download the moment you resubscribe, which is a nice bonus to know. But with all of that covered, let's move on to the next tier, and that's PlayStation Plus Extra. This is where things really do start to get interesting, despite the fact that there's only one more bonus here. You get everything from the previous tier, but now you have access to the PS4 and PS5 game catalog. And at the time of this recording, that's around 400 games that are available for you to download and play on your PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5. For this, you're looking at $15 per month, $40 per quarter, or $100 per year. Many have called this the Game Pass competitor, and rightfully so, because it's definitely following in its footsteps but not committing all the way either. While its catalog of games has certainly much improved, with titles like Spider-Man Miles Morales, Death Stranding, NBA 2K22, Demon's Souls, Returnal, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Guardians of the Galaxy, and much more, yet it's also easy to see that this isn't a full-on commitment like Microsoft is doing with Game Pass. There are a ton of first-party Sony games that are still missing, and games won't be arriving day and date, at least not first-party Sony exclusives, that is. It was just recently announced that Stray, a title that's only launching on PS4, PS5, and PC, will be arriving to the games catalog day 1 on July 19th. While we may not be getting big first-party exclusive titles launching into this service, we will probably be getting more day 1 launches from indie titles and third-party publishers. Now I need to keep it completely real with you. In my opinion, the games catalog, while varied, isn't as good as Game Pass. There's a notable drop in quality after you see a few select games. That's not to say that they're bad games by any means, but they are notably older on average. Now, one thing I really do want to get across to you is that while I do sound fairly negative in comparing Game Pass and PlayStation Plus Extra's game catalog together, I need to point out that I'm not trying to tell you it's a bad deal. On the contrary, I think it is a fantastic deal. It's just not as good as Game Pass is offering, but once again, you're comparing the quote-unquote best deal in gaming to something that's just starting out. And for just starting out, it's got some pretty big heavy hitters here. Seriously, I'm playing Death Stranding Director's Cut, and it's a fantastic experience on the PlayStation 5. I'd say if you're somebody who's new to the Sony ecosystem, just picked up a PS5, or already have a PS4 and missed out on some of these big names, you should certainly subscribe and play them. This seems like an absolute no-brainer for anyone who has yet to pick up these titles and just picked up a PS5. I honestly would even go as far to say that you owe it to yourself to pick up this deal, because it'll save you boatloads of money on spending on big PS5 games like Returnal, Miles Morales, and more, and you won't be getting bored anytime soon with the amount of games you have to go through. In fact, if Sony does a good job at this, they're gonna give you a very good reason to stay subscribed each and every month. By the time you finish one game, you may very well have 2 or 3 more to play. Now, speaking as someone who bought a PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 day 1 and has pretty much purchased and played every single first-party Sony exclusive, is this still worth it to me? That part's very debatable. You see, I have all these games already, at least the majority of them. Death Stranding is probably the one I don't have, and that's only because I played it on PC originally. but all the other big names here I've genuinely played already. What I'm really getting for value here mainly is niche indie games and titles that I've always wanted to try but never really wanted to pay for. And if that was my thought process back then when those games were new, do I really want to go back and play them now? The answer here is going to depend on player to player. For myself though, I don't think it's actually worth it. Instead, as a major PlayStation fan, my eyes are set on the PlayStation Plus Premium tier. On top of the games catalog from the extra tier and all the benefits from the essential tier, the premium tier comes with a few bonuses. And that's the classics catalog, the game trials, and cloud streaming. This comes in priced at $18 per month, $50 per quarter, or $120 per year. Let's begin by talking about the classics catalog. As of right now, this gives you access to PlayStation, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and PlayStation Portable games. To be clear, this is access to select titles, not the full library, and it's also worth pointing out that I am a bit disappointed here. Speaking mostly as a PlayStation fan, this is one of the big draws, but sadly, the majority of the catalog in the classics section is all PS3 games. At the time of this recording, when it comes to PS1, PS2, and PSP games, there are about 50 titles in total. So when you see the branding saying hundreds of classic games, just be aware that they're mainly talking about PS3 games, and those titles can only be cloud streamed. There's no way to download them locally like the other PlayStation generation titles. In terms of the selection of the catalog, the PS3 one is plentiful, and it's got the majority of the big names you've come to expect. The biggest notable absence, though, is one that used to be on PlayStation Now but was removed after the switch over to this new revamp, and that's Metal Gear Solid 4. Super strange considering the PS3 is the only way to play that title and it's such a classic game. Moving on to the PlayStation 2 catalog of games, well, this is where it kind of gets even more interesting. The majority of these titles, if not all of them, are remasters that were brought over to PS4, which ultimately means you're not really getting the classic experience because you're not playing the original version. Very odd in my opinion, considering this once again is branded as the classic catalog. You're looking at a total of about 21 games here, and overall, pretty good selection. Once again, you're not getting anywhere near all the big hits the PS2 had, because that collection of games was absolutely insane in the grand scheme of things, but you'll still see notable names like Hot Shots Tennis, Rogue Galaxy, Siren, Dark Cloud 2, Ape Escape 2, Fantavision, and more. But honestly, for a platform that had over 10,000 games released, this is a very small selection to launch with. And then between the PS1 and PSP, you're getting a total of 14 games, even less, and they're combined. Great classics such as Jumping Flash and Ape Escape, but once again, very disappointing considering just how many big names are on those platforms. The one benefit I will throw to these classics though, are that they did spend some time with these PS1 games in particular. Not only do some of them have trophy support and online play, but they all include a filter so you can really get that classic look. On top of that, there's a rewind feature for you to take a few steps back in a moment of gameplay and readjust whatever you want. I should also point out that there's a way to stretch the resolution so it fits your entire screen, some modern day filters, as well as the save state so you can save at any point in game and just continue off of that. Setting this precedent definitely bodes well for future titles added to this catalog, but man, I gotta say the selection feels very sparse. Disappointing is really all I can say. Now I do want to point out one thing because it has been a point of discussion, especially in other regions, but the PS1 classics on North America are all NTSC, which means we get the 60Hz versions of the game, which really should be the default for every region because they're not restricted to 50Hz, so I hope they fix that for anyone who's stuck with PAL. Now moving on from the classics, I want to briefly discuss the game trials. This premium benefit allows you to download a full game and play it for a couple hours, maybe 5 hours, or really anything the developer sets it to. At this point in time, this is only for selected titles, but if rumors are true, this will be expanding to the vast majority of games releasing digitally. It's actually a very nice benefit to have. For example, Horizon Forbidden West gives you a total of 5 hours to try out the game, and then you can decide whether or not you want to continue playing by purchasing it. Or maybe that's enough time for you to find out that you'd rather wait for it to show up on the PlayStation Games catalog. In general, a very cool feature to have, and one that I think is going to be very useful, especially if they start supporting it for new releases. I know I've made some regretful purchases in the past, and I'm sure many others have as well, so being able to adjust that would be great. But now let's talk about the biggest addition to PlayStation Plus Premium in my opinion, and that's the cloud streaming. Considering it's necessary to be able to play some of the hundreds of games in the Classics catalog, I think it's absolutely the most important part of this tier. If you're new to this channel, well, you should know that I typically focus on cloud gaming, thus I have a lot of experience with pretty much all the cloud gaming platforms out there, be it Stadia, GeForce Now, Xbox Cloud Gaming, and many others. PS Plus Premium streaming is identical to that of what we had with PlayStation Now, which is to say you have up to 1080p 60fps streaming for PS4 and PS3 titles. That means there is no way to stream PS5 games, and this is a pretty big downer, especially when compared to the rest of the competition. Speaking for myself here, I've always managed to get better image quality and responsiveness from PlayStation Now than Xbox Cloud Gaming. You may experience similar results, or you might experience the complete opposite, because when it comes to cloud gaming, in case you don't know, it's not just about the technology, but the distance to that technology. The further you are away from the data center you're connecting to, the worse your experience is going to be, and that's not something that you really have control over, and it's worth pointing out. What I'm trying to get at is that my experience probably won't match up perfectly to yours or to somebody else who's covering this service. So take my words with that in mind, but I will say in my experience playing Miles Morales through the PlayStation Plus Premium tier was a really good experience. Now once again, I am limited to the PS4 version, so that's only 30 FPS, and I played the original on the PS5 at 60. Going from one to the other is kind of hard to get used to, but some people are more susceptible to this sort of thing than others. Still, at 30 FPS the game plays wonderfully, and you're gonna have a good experience if you've never played it before. What really separates PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus's new premium tier is really the catalog of games. PS Now always suffered from having a lot of games but not many standouts. This is no longer the case. There are a lot of games to choose from, and the fact that you can stream anywhere from PS1 all the way up to the PS4 catalog means you have a huge selection. If you add both of the catalogs together, you're looking at about 600 to 700 games available to stream, which is pretty nuts. But it is about time that PlayStation starts investing in the technology powering this experience, because really there haven't been massive improvements since the 1080p 60fps streaming. Some of the biggest and notable missing features is the ability to play games on your mobile device. As of right now, PlayStation Plus Premium streaming is only available on console and PC. Pretty much every other cloud gaming service offers support for mobile devices, be it iOS or Android. Mobile gaming is a huge way people play, and that needs to be noted. As I said previously, there's no way to play brand new PS5 games or the better versions of those PS5 games. As I said, Miles Morales plays good and you can still enjoy the experience a lot, but it's not as good as it could be. And the further we get into this generation, the rougher and rougher these ports may be. The truth is that at some point there's not even going to be a PS4 port of some of these big games. We're starting to see that already. So Sony really needs to get into gear and upgrade their streaming technology back end of things, and it seems like they're doing that. A lot of recent hires and positions and job listings have seemingly been focused on the cloud aspect of things, and rightfully so. The cloud gaming race is heating up. Yes, it's still small scale in the grand scheme of things, but there is no doubt that this is the future of gaming in a big way. Xbox just talked about the next 20 years of the platform, really focusing on the cloud. And believe me, there's a reason for that. They really want Game Pass to be the Netflix of gaming, just like Sony should want PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium to be the very same thing. Ultimately, to end it off, is the PlayStation Plus Premium tier worth it? Speaking once again as a PlayStation fan first, yes, I do think they were smart to include the game trials, because without it, I'm not actually sure I'd be biting in this early on or even recommending you do so. But when you throw that in with cloud gaming as well as the Classics catalog, even though they do feel a bit sparse right now, I do find some value in what's being offered. The game trials I know will save me money in the long run, but I really must say that it just feels barely worth it to me. And honestly, I don't think it's worth it to everyone out there either. Frankly speaking, there needs to be improvement on all sections of the premium tier. There needs to be more game trials, there needs to be a better selection of classic games, and the streaming tech needs to be upgraded. To a certain extent, I feel like this was kinda rushed half-baked out the door, but I do see a lot of potential within it. PlayStation's catalog of games going all the way back to the PS1 has so much potential. PlayStation's history is rich and full of absolutely excellent titles that easily could have been missed out on, and their exclusive games via the cloud are something that people will absolutely be drawn to. It'll be very interesting to see how this evolves, but like I said, if you're not seeing value in it, I wouldn't blame you because it's barely value to me. Either way, that sums up my thoughts on the new PlayStation Plus. If you have any remaining questions, feel free to leave them down below and I'll answer what I can. And if you enjoyed this video or found it helpful at all, be sure to hit that like button as it really does help the channel out. And if you're wanting more content like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell as well. If you're interested in anything else cloud gaming or PlayStation Plus related, be sure to check out my other videos. I will be covering this service going forward alongside the rest, and I really do hope to see it grow in a big way. As always, I hope you have a fantastic day. Thanks for watching. This has been The Virtual Cloud, giving you the latest and greatest on everything cloud gaming related, and until next time, I'll catch you in the clouds.